Kevin Lembke, our park president, Busch Gardens and Water Country USA, and he's going to talk to you a little bit, and then feel free to ask some questions, and then we'll move on to station number 2. Thank you.
All right. Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to what will be the world's fastest multi-launch coaster, which is pretty exciting right here in Williamsburg. So Pantheon, obviously, and as you can see, the track is near completion. We're actually standing underneath the only section that doesn't exist right now, but it will in the next couple days. So the track will be 100% complete. Where we're standing, we have our top hat feature, which has a beyond vertical drop at 95 degrees. So what the ride's going to do is actually come up the top hat once and then fall back down, and you're going to go backwards over right where we're sitting now, back up that spike, and then when it comes down the second time, it's an additional launch that will take you all the way up over the top hat, down the 95-degree drop, and then around the balance of the ride. So very, very exciting. Uses a switch track, which has only been used a couple times in the world. Once over in China and once down at Universal. So very, very cool technology. Our ride engineer will talk a little bit more about the switch track here in a moment. But 73 miles an hour, 3 different launches. On 2, we'll have 2 trains running, and just going to be an amazing, really one-of-a-kind ride. Completely custom, that takes in the topography of the park. So truly one-of-a-kind of experience, and just excited to get it going this spring. So with that, what questions can we answer about the ride?
Top speed?
73. Yep. After you leave the top hat portion, you'll gain top speed over there at 73, which is pretty cool. 3 different launches. You'll actually launch immediately right out of the station at its first turn, and then 2 of the launches exist here. Like I said, with the switch track, you're actually going to go by it once. The track will move, and that allows you to get onto that spike back there. So very, very unique element. Yes?
Have you set height requirements?
52 inches is the height requirement. Yep. So it'll be the same as a polished chariot. We do have some at 54, Griffin and Alpengeist, but this one will be 52.
Do you know the G-forces?
Capacity, I don't think, there is a theoretical, but it should be very similar to like an Apollo's chariot, so, probably in the 800 range, give or take.
Any unforeseen challenges with the switch track?
No, our great ride manufacturer, Intamin, we work closely with them. Again, the switch track is in place now and operating, so that's always, sometimes it's fun to be the first ever, but sometimes it's nice to have some things in operation already. So we've seen it live. Some of our engineers have gone and seen other coasters that are using it, so feel really good about the technology, and can't wait to debut it here.
Being the first independent coaster in the park, what swayed the decision to go that direction?
They're a great partner. Our company has used them, as you know, for rides like Cheetah Hunt and others in our system. So, and they do work here. Pompeii, Roman Rapids boats, other things. So strong relationship overall with the company, and they've proven themselves as one of the premier manufacturers in the world. So excited to partner with our first coaster here.
Did you use an Intamin crew, or did you hire locally?
So we work closely with Intamin on site. The actual track construction and the assembly here is done through a local contractor, but in close collaboration with Intamin. Yes.
What did this area used to be?
So this was some animal pastures, and basically what we did was kind of rearranged the configuration, so the animal pastures all still exist, just in a different configuration. So all kind of cohabitating back here, which is very, very unique. You'll actually walk right past some of the horse pastures as you're coming up through the queue line. As you cross the bridge over in Festa is how you're going to get to the ride. And you'll actually walk down almost to where we're standing, not quite this far. You'll actually walk under the track and then back up toward the station. And you probably see some horses on the way.
Any opportunities for first-time riders? Any events scheduled?
Yep. So we're going to look at some member exclusive ride time and some of the first folks to ride. So we don't have all the details on that yet, but yes, we're looking at some exclusive opportunities for our members.
All right. Stop number 2. Let's go. Thank you.
All right.
Kevin.
Thanks, everybody.
Kevin Smith, who's our corporate director of design and engineering for Seaworld Parks and for Busch Gardens. And he's probably going to know a lot of the technical questions that you were asking Kevin. I'm sure he will. And
Sure.
if he doesn't, then our friend Suzy will be able to answer because she's the project manager. But I'll turn it over to Jonathan, and he's going to explain this whole ride to you.
Hey, good morning, everyone. So I am Jonathan Smith. I am the Corporate Director of Rides and Engineering for the Busch Gardens Parks. It's a pleasure to have each of you out here today. So we are at the Pantheon construction site, which is our 9th roller coaster here at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. I am extremely excited for this ride. When we first envisioned this, we wanted to generate and create a ride experience that was going to be dynamic and thrilling, high thrill. But we also wanted to combine new and unique elements on this attraction, unlike any other coaster in the entire world. So individual elements and then back-to-back elements that is just going to keep our guests guessing as to what is next. So let's talk about some of these elements. We have a high-speed outer roll element over here that Elizabeth is going to talk to you about in a second. That is a combination of 2 inversion elements. It is a 0G roll and then a flat spin corkscrew roll going into a lower banked curve. That is going to be amazing after that 36 mile per hour launch. We have a high-speed track switch. I'm going to talk a little bit about that as we progress along today's tour. So I'll save that for a little bit later. That is unlike anything else in the industry. Kevin talked to you about our top hat element over here. After our 3 launches in this straight section of track with the Camelback, you experience this top hat element with a 95-degree vertical drop going along the Rhine River. It is going to be astounding, the great view of the Williamsburg topography. Then you go into what I'm really excited about is this outward bank curve. Most curves in our industry on roller coasters, you'll have the track on the inside face of the bank. This one, we actually stuck it onto the outside. And what's really interesting, as you're maneuvering that element, you will experience uplifting forces as you're going through there. Then you finish off with a little sideways bank airtime hill. And I'm really excited about what's behind us here. That is our Top Gun stall. Think of it kind of like a Camelback airtime hill, but we actually rotate the track 180 degrees. You will invert for a couple seconds, and then you'll correct yourself back down at the bottom of that Camelback hill. It's going to be really exhilarating. We have some zigzag turns, really quick changes in direction. We have a sideways Camelback hill, and then we hit the brake run. Your experience is then over. Just over 3,300 feet of track, but the ride experience is over 4,200 feet. So it's a big, impactful ride experience. I'm really looking forward to it. I know you guys are too. So can I take any questions?
How long is the ride from start to finish?
Ride's about 150 seconds.
What are the G-forces you'll experience?
I can't disclose all of the G-force experiences. I can share that we have 15 airtime elements on this attraction. And it's not just traditional airtime, it's sideways airtime, it's straight up vertical uplift airtime. We have a launch track where you're going to go forwards and backwards. You're going to experience airtime or uplift forces going backwards. I don't know if you've ever experienced that before. It is going to be very unique, so you're going to love it.
What do you anticipate will be the time in between sending out trains, the wait time?
The wait time?
Yeah, in between trains.
Oh, you're talking about like a dispatch interval?
Yes.
Yeah, dispatch interval on this attraction theoretically is about 80 seconds.
How many trains are running?
We have 2 trains, 2 20-passenger trains. So the ride vehicles, these are new type mega coaster ride vehicles. I don't know if any of you made it out to the IAAPA show, the International Association of Amusement Parks and Attractions. We did display the Pantheon ride vehicle at that show. They are very comfy, very open trains, which works great for this ride layout, or this ride center line, because you're going to be close to the ground, close to the landscaping. You'll feel very free as you experience the airtime moments, the 2 inversions on the attraction. So it's going to be a blast.
How fast will it take to get 73 miles an hour from the first launch?
How fast? Well, the first launch we actually experienced 36 miles per hour. Then we go into launch 2, we hit 50 miles per hour. That's a couple seconds. Then you go backwards, you hit a speed of 61 miles per hour to the reverse spike. And then you go forwards again through the track switch, you hit that 67 miles per hour speed before you go up the top hat. Our maximum speed is actually on the other side of the top hat, the 95-degree drop. That's where we hit the 73 miles per hour speed. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the world's fastest multi-launch coaster. We actually have 3 distinct launch sections on this ride, one before the first inversion, and then 2 launch sections over on this track switch area, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Anything else?
All right,
We
stop
can move
number
on.
3. Thank you all.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, John.
I'll meet you over at the track switch in a little bit.
All right. I know most of you and all of you know Elizabeth Ringas, who is the Director of Communications for American Coaster Enthusiasts, ACE, and she's been gracious to bless us with her presence today. Once again, she's the expert in roller coasters, can give us that that insider look at what ACE members are going to be looking for when Pantheon opens. So turn it over to Elizabeth.
I'm here because American Coaster Enthusiasts is so excited to see the 9th coaster being added to Busch Gardens Williamsburg. And what a beauty it is. We are going to get to experience something we haven't gotten in any of these circumstances, because we've got a unique mixture of elements coming together to create Pantheon. And you've already seen, from what you see on site, this is going to be an exciting ride. Not just because you've got the steepest drop in the park at over 90 degrees. I mean, did you look at that top hat? How great is that going to be coming down there and hitting the fastest point in the ride to be part of the world's fastest multi-launch coaster here at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. But the views right here on the Rhine River, and what struck me the most as I look around the construction site here is how close to the ground you're going to experience these elements. This is going to be a dynamic and thrilling ride that will be so exciting. As you cross that Italy Bridge, how exciting it will be for guests to get to experience what they've come to ride. This is one of those rides that you're going to come to the park to ride. And we are so excited to come and, I can't wait to ride this. As I look at how close some of these elements come together here, I can't wait to experience this right here. But wow, and it's just going to be a beautiful, breathtaking ride. But it is going to be thrilling. This is going to be one that takes your breath away, and you remember the moment you came to ride this.
So I'm not going up in this thing to introduce Suzy. So I'm going to have Suzy introduce herself. But Suzy Cheeley, who's our design and engineering vice president for Busch Gardens and Water Country, this is her baby. I mean, everybody's had her hand in building this thing, but Suzy is the mama bear who's watching over everything. So with that,
Good with
turn it
that.
over to you.
Good with that. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, like Cindy said, Suzy Cheeley, the Vice President of Design and Engineering for Busch Gardens and Water Country, and honorary goddess, I guess, for Pantheon. So here we are. We are very close to finishing up the construction of the ride. It's been so much fun. We started back in May of 2019. Some of you might have been here for the media day when we were we had a lot done already, but all you could see was the top of some of the footing, so it probably wasn't real exciting for you as it was for us. But now we have probably 90% of the track in, and as you can see, you can almost predict how the ride's going to be. And I think Jonathan kind of walked you through all the elements, but it's going to be so much fun, and we're excited, and I know you guys got to be excited. We're going to start at the station, obviously. Well, actually, we're going to start in Festa, because even though this feels like Italy, the entrance to the ride is going to be over in Festa. There's a bridge that goes over the train tracks. You guys will walk over here, walk up to the station. From the station you can see how the track goes out, goes down through the first launch here, around through, it's like spaghetti, right? The track just crisscrosses everywhere. Over through the second launch, it's going to go up toward the top hat, and then you're going to come backwards. You're going to come backwards through the launch again, up to the top of the spire, which is behind me. Very tall. It's going to be pretty interesting being up there. They thought we could maybe get me that high up here, but I think this is plenty high enough. And then you'll go forward. The third launch is going to launch you up over the top hat and down the 95-degree drop through a couple of inversions and then back into the station. So really nonstop action from beginning to end. I can't wait to ride it, and I know you guys are probably feeling the same way. Contractors have been great to work with. Jeremy here was kind enough to escort me up, up here on this lift. So having said all that, does anybody have any questions for me?
Yes, theming. Theming of the queue and in the station.
Theming, yes, the theming will come in later. We got to get all the foundations and things in, but it's going to be related to Pantheon, which is the home of the Roman gods and goddesses, and we're going to have a really nice entry porthole and some other little surprises for you along the queue.
Our track switch element, this is not a traditional track switch that you have seen on a roller coaster throughout North America. This is actually what we call a fast track switch. Well, what is a fast track switch? Well, let's talk about that briefly. So we enter our outer side roll inversion element after our first launch experience. We actually maneuver into a double up zigzag element. How about that? Double up zigzag. Say that 3 times really fast. And then we move into our fast track switch. The ride vehicle will come in really quickly when it is this track and curved bank is aligned right here with the track on the zigzag side. It will then move into and accelerate into our launch 2 experience where we propulse the train to a speed of 50 miles per hour as it heads towards the top hat. So while that is happening, this fast track switch will move laterally from the position closest to us to a position away from us. We have 2 track sections on this switch. We have the bank piece of track, and we also have a level piece of track on the other side. That level piece of track will actually align itself with the launch section here. And it does it in a matter of 2 seconds. Really quick, really fast. So our ride vehicle barely makes it to the top of the top hat, doesn't make it all the way up, goes backwards, it enters into its 3rd launch experience. We'll hit a speed of 61 miles per hour going backwards. I talked about uplift or airtime moments when you're going backwards. That is going to be pretty amazing. It'll go through the track switch up to our 178 foot tall reverse spike, and then it'll go forward again into its 4th launch experience where we'll hit a speed of 67 miles per hour. Once the ride vehicle makes it all the way to the top of the top hat and to the bottom of that 95-degree drop, this track switch will then move in position towards us again in a matter of 2 seconds before we dispatch another train out of the station. So it's new technology. This is actually the longest track switch in the world. So fast track switch. So we're really excited about it. Any questions?
Would you explain again the 80-second interval you're talking about as far as the riding?
That is what we call dispatch interval. So every 80 seconds we want to dispatch a train out of the station. So it's a conversation piece we use as engineers. What is our dispatch interval? What is our theoretical capacity on the ride? Those kind of things.
Is the switch done magnetic or is it motor?
I actually cannot talk about the technology behind the track switch. It is proprietary technology, but you can kind of figure it out if you look hard enough.
What is the weight of the 2 pieces of track being moved?
Oh, that's a good question. That's a good question. It's probably no less than 15,000 pounds.
Probably can't answer this either, but fail safes on something like this because you're in motion going forward and happen while you're on it? I know obviously there's a lot of...
Yep, all of those scenarios are considered in this design and also in implementation. So we do feature a safety ride control system on this attraction, and the track switch is no exception to that. So there are fail-safe scenarios that we consider that we will test during commissioning. We will test those every day before we open the attraction. So we've had a significant amount of conversations with that. So that's actually a really good question.
Can you go over one more time what it look like, the track switch itself, really fast?
What is it? How does it move?
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
So we're not perfectly aligned right now because we're in the middle of installation. But this curved piece, this big radius here, is going to align with this static rail right next to you, right behind you. You go up this double up zigzag element, and it'll be perfectly aligned to that track and to the downstream connecting track onto the launch. So it's a curve going into the launch section. Once we move forward on our second launch experience, this switch will then move away from us to its secondary position. And you see that track right there? It's going to come towards us and it'll align itself with the main launch track. So you have two switches. So think of it like a train track switch. Yeah. Something kind of like that, except it does it in less than 2 seconds.
Yeah, so you're going up here once, and then you're going a different way this second time.
Yeah,
through?
so we'll go this direction towards the top hat, then you'll launch backwards. So that's where you hit your 67 miles per hour speed, hit the reverse spike, and then it'll go forward. This switch will stay aligned in that condition, and you won't actually see it move until the ride vehicle is on the bottom drop on the top hat element. Then it'll move back into this position to allow the next train to experience the launch one, the first inversion, and so forth.
How many blocks are on this ride?
Well, we have 2 trains on the ride, so I think we have like 5 blocks, something like that, which is more than what you need. You usually want 1 extra block per train.
Do you guys know when testing might begin?
Yeah, we're actually going to be starting commissioning very soon, and part of the beginning parts of a commissioning process is we go into an electrical I/O checkout. We check all of our cable terminations on the launch system. We check our terminations on the low voltage ride control system. That is typically like a 2 to 3 week process before you even start moving trains or anything like that. And on a typical commissioning process, you cycle 1 train at a time. And then as you progress through the commissioning, you add a second train and you keep going therefore. There's all these scenarios that you have to go through. So it's not just cycling a train over and over and over and over again. That's part of it, but you have to look at all those scenarios, safety block checks, things like that, that we're intentionally trying to see what the ride does and experiences. So that'll be starting here within the next month.
With the weather being so good, you guys a little ahead on schedule, or?
Yeah, we're doing pretty good on schedule. Actually, we are. So we've had a few. Suzy, we haven't had any snow yet, have we?
We haven't.
Yeah.
Don't say that.
Yeah.
It's
It's going to be my fault. But the weather's actually been pretty good from what you said, right?
Actually, well, you guys know, it's been a pretty mild January, but then I guess around the 20th, 18th, 20th, January really came. We're hoping April comes early, since January came late. It's much better for construction, believe me.
Go ahead.
Who came up with the design of the track?
Who did the design of the track?
Did Busch Gardens come up and say we want these kind of elements? Or?
Absolutely. So so Suzy and I and the project team, we picked this particular site. We wanted a dynamic experience. We wanted airtime elements. We wanted inversions. We wanted to twist and bend this track differently than it has been done before. So we did work with Intamin Worldwide and their conceptual design team to kind of generate this layout. And when you work through that layout process, it's not like you accept the initial layout. We talk through elements, we debate different elements, we move elements around, we move the station around. There's a lot of conversation that has to happen on the ride layout and also what the site interface is going to be.
Right. So from the beginning, we get a survey done of the site, the general site where we want to put everything, right? And then we work with Jonathan and the ride manufacturer on how those elements are going to fit on our site. Obviously, a different park, a lot of the parks down in Florida are pretty flat, right? So they're going to have taller columns and things like that. We have very tall columns at the high areas, but there's also really short columns down by the water. So we're taking advantage of our terrain and our topography. So it's kind of a give and take thing. I guess it all has to kind of fit together.
Was Chesapeake Bay permitting at all difficult with this site, so close to the Rhine River?
We did do Chesapeake Bay permitting. We are always planning a few years out, so we do have to look at whatever permitting we have to. We have to worry with DEQ, Chesapeake Bay, certainly James City County, and VADR, Virginia Amusement Device. So, yeah.
How many acres is this site?
Oh goodness, about 3 acres, I'd say. And I don't know that all that's totally developed, but does that sound right? I think that's about right.
You guys gonna come all ride it?
Yeah. Spring 2020.
If this is the 95-degree angle, what is the angle of this?
We're 90 degrees here. Straight 90 degrees.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, from the top hat down, instead of just coming straight down, it actually goes back on itself. So that's going to be a fun element.
It's going to be interesting too on this reverse spike. You'll actually experience 5 seconds of weightlessness when you're transversing from backwards to forward. So that'll be a lot of fun, right?
How high is it expected to actually climb the spike itself?
We're probably going to be within 10 feet from the edge. So. It depends on how the train's loaded. So.
Did you guys ride Finnegan's last year? You know that feeling of weightlessness you get when you're on the swing? I guess you're going to get that at the top, right, Jonathan?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
So that is going to be pretty exciting. You're going to be a little higher than you were at Finnegan's here.
Anything else? That's going to conclude the tour. If you need to talk to Suzy, Jonathan one-on-one, or Kevin, Elizabeth is still available. If not, we're going to head back out. Thank you for coming. Stay tuned.
Thank you, guys.
We'll give you news on opening dates and any other fresh news that's coming out of here. But thank you for coming and thank you for your support. We can't do this without you, and we appreciate you very much. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you. Thanks for coming out.